Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a psychic reading on the one and only Miss Florence Welch from Florence and the Machines. She is a UK based artist, singer, songwriter, performer, just a beautiful, beautiful soul. A lot of mystery, and some of you requested for me to do this reading. I'm very, very excited. I am a fan of Florence Welch and all her music. Ceremonials has to be one of the best albums that they have put out. I love all the songs, especially Spectrum and some of the others that she has put together with the band and sung and performed. Just overall, I used to play that album on repeat until it probably broke my iPod. Back in the in the early 2000s, when, well, like 2011, 2012, around that time period. But I wanted to do this reading as well, and I'm going to give you everything that I see for her. And thank you all, first of all, for your support and for being here. I love you all. Have to say that. I really mean it. And if you have not yet subscribed, please hit the red subscribe button as well as the notification bell icon on the bottom right hand corner of this video. So when I get into Florence's soul and energy, she is someone that is very powerful. I feel like she's very connected to Mother Earth. She is a free spirit. She is someone that is a natural born witch. And I have no shame in saying that, because there are people that are just connected to Mother Earth and they know their purpose when they come here. I also feel like she's an elevated being that she has a lot of, connections to spiritual dimensions and spiritual beings. I feel like she could possibly be Lemurian as her, soul planet or star system where she comes from. But she's definitely an evolved being here, and she came here with a purpose, and that is to create. And I feel like she does know that in this lifetime. She's very aware of her purpose here is to create music. It's to create beauty, because not only is she using her platform to create music, but she's also very into fashion, into makeup, hair. So like, people that are fans of her or people that emulate her or want to be like Florence Welch, there is just, the message that she sends is elegance. It's like whimsical. It's bohemian chic. It's a mixture of different, different styles and time periods. And when I tune into her soul, I see someone that's very much like an old soul. Like, I feel like she belonged in the 60s or 70s, more when there was like flower power and there were hippies, and things like that. I see her like that, and I feel like she she can connect to that era and bring it to us in 2019. That is something that, through her style, I feel like she channels a lot of that era in many ways. And it doesn't surprise me because, a lot of her core, people who she looks up to are like Stevie Nicks and things like that. People like that, are from that era. Right now, I see her going through transformations. There's a lot of her right now realizing and confronting, the things that are not necessarily well received by her, or things that she sees in her life that are like patterns that are not good for her and for her soul. So she's going through a darker period, and a lot of us are, because of the Neptune retrograde and Chiron. A lot of us are holding on to past or old wounds, and I talked about this in a live that I did a few days ago. And I feel like she is going through this as well. She's not immune, just because she's a beautiful celebrity. We all go through past wounds, and even though she may have this glamorous life that we perceive, I feel like that's just the illusion that we see here. But she is a human being. She does have painful experiences and things that she copes with on a very deep level. It may not be like how you and I cope, but she is coping with stress, with people that are trying to override her creative decisions, or people who are trying to copy her other artists and maybe not wanting to align themselves with her, and her not wanting to align herself with them. So I see her working through that, and there's going to be a lot of healing of that. I also feel like she's trying to strengthen, relationships. There's a lot of different friendships or people that she cares about, but because in the nature of her business and the work that she does, she may not be able to get too close to people or divulge too much of her personal inner workings of, her career, like, what shows or who's her publicist or like who she's going to be, meeting. She has to keep a lot of this on the down low because the paparazzi, the press, the media they have a field day with it. So again, I see her trying to kind of focus more on her family, the core people when she's not on stage, the people that she would consider friends all around her that are closest to her. And I don't feel like there's a lot of them, even though she's well likable, but I feel like she keeps her social circle pretty close knit. And, she has been betrayed before. She has been backstabbed. So she's very careful, but her eyes, like when you look into them, she's a seer. She has strong intuitive abilities. She knows, she can perceive and discern who is, lying, who is not telling the truth. I just get that from her. She's also at a point in her life now where she is 32 years old, I believe. She is at a point in her life right now in the 30s, and this happens to a lot of us that are listening, that when we hit our 30s, it's almost like an awakening that we go through, and we're like, gee, I'm no longer in my 20s, time has passed by, I'm in my 30s. And for her to be so young in her 30s, she's accomplished quite a bit, and established herself as a name in the industry, in the world. So I see her kind of like looking at her, her dreams, her aspirations, the goals that she would have had years ago are now they've come to fruition. And some of them are still in the process of coming, of happening for her. I don't know if at this point, if she wants to have a child. But, I feel like she thinks about that as well. Does she want to actually have a child? Because time is a ticking, when you get in your 30s and 40s. And I don't mean that at all in a negative connotation, or I'm just stating the obvious facts, things that we all think about. She also thinks about marriage. Are we all, all of us that are in our 30s right now, I'm 37. A lot of you that are listening are in your 30s, or if you're not in your 30s and you go back to when you were in your 30s, a lot of us, that are single, perhaps, we've been thinking, when are we going to have a partner, a long-term partner? When are we going to settle down and get married? And these are the kind of questions. I feel like her life hasn't been the ideal life, and that's what I get from her. She looks back and she says, gee, I didn't follow the normal path that most people do, which is, to get married very young, have kids, and have a family. I feel like she followed an untraditional path. And that's because, again, her soul is very unique, and everyone's path here is very unique. So those of you that are tuning in, if you are in your 30s and you're still single, you haven't had children, you haven't gotten married, you need to know and realize that it's okay. Stop beating yourself up. It's not time. Some people come into this earth and they leave the earth, and go back into spirit form, and then they later reincarnate. But before they go back into spirit, they never have gotten married. They never have had kids. And there are people with that kind of, blueprint written, in their destiny that, they chose coming here to earth. And for her, I feel like she is going to eventually look into this a little deeper. She's ready to share love on a greater level, because now she has, kind of learned the ins and outs of the industry by now, and she has had success, and she knows who are good people and who are not, and who to, distance herself from. So now I see her like she's ready to share love, to be in love, to get into a relationship. That is what Spirit is showing me with her. And so I see her really gravitating towards love, and that's going to be on her mind throughout 2019, 2020. So if she's seeing someone right now, or she's with someone, there's a lot of, thoughts of where is it going. And I feel like she's very secretive and private when it comes to that. But I feel like she, someone that explores her sexuality as well. She's not confined to the normals, to the normality, or what people perceive. Because let me retract that, because that didn't sound right. normality. People consider it as a normality to get married or to have a love interest or just, be attached to one sex, in sexually. And I feel like with her, there's a diversity. She's open to experiences and to exploring. She's unafraid to explore her sexuality and who she is as a person. So there's a lot of things that are, very much around her. I do feel like, she does have people, and she does have spirit all around her. I see a lot of spiritual attachments that want to attach to her. So this tells me that, she's possibly even gifted beyond what we can see here, beyond, intuitive gifts. There are some medium gifts that she has. And I feel like this goes back to her mother's side of her family, going back to like her great grandma, great grandma. Because I do see some women that are in her ancestry around her, in spirit, and I do get that they are definitely there. I feel like there's a group of them, and I see them dressed up kind of like in old-fashioned clothing from the early 1800s, or the late 1800s, early 1900s, with their hairs up in a bun, and very, very much elegant ladies, but very much different than Florence. But I feel like they are guiding her, and she may feel a connection to her ancestors as well on a deep level. So I feel like romance is going to spice up for her. It's going to get spicy. It's going to get interesting. We may start seeing her with someone, more publicly in the tabloids over the next 2 years. I see her wanting to take charge of her life, and she's no longer going to be happy with people telling her, you need to do this or you need to do that. And it's like, she's going to do that. She's going to fight back. She's going to be very vocal about it, and this is going to cause her sometimes some anxiety and stress. So she definitely would benefit from, meditating. And there's different ways that you can meditate. You can definitely meditate. The way that I do it is that I picture myself sitting in a field and on a chair, and I picture myself how I am dressed now, and I envision, light. There's a lot of visualization in this meditation technique, and I'll visualize myself in the center of a field of flowers, and I have a white light coming down from the sky all the way down to my forehead, and as it's going through all my body, down through my feet, and I see my spine, from the base of my spine, a tree root forming, going into the ground, and I see my feet having roots going into the ground. And as it's doing that, I'm having all that light come down, and it's coming back up. And you can read that in my book, Starseed Footsteps, for those of you that have not yet picked up a copy of it. It is listed in there. I do talk about that on how I meditate. And so it's very beneficial for me. It helps me clear and get, relief from a lot of stress and a lot of that chaos, and I feel like she would benefit from that. Again, she may have her own ways of doing that. I also see her sketching. I don't know if she does any drawing or doodling in some kind of way, or being something that she is gravitating towards. I see like candles as well. I don't know if she works with a lot of candles to kind of, bring her into that inner peace. Flowers, florals, candles, crystals, painting. I see a lot of painting and doodling. This is things that she could possibly be into or get into in the next couple of years. More, expressing her own creative side, because she's very creative, and getting that out. I see that there are some challenging times ahead for Florence. I'm going to keep it real. May 2020 is going to be extremely difficult month for her, at least in April and May. I see a shift going on, and it's almost like she's going to be feeling like she's getting attacked by certain people. She may lose a friend or two. There's some kind of huge change coming on for her, and I feel like she's going to be that spiritual warrior, where she's having to really kind of protect her energy and say no to people, even though she may not want to say no or hurt people in the process. It's all about creating and setting healthy boundaries in one's life. And for her, I feel like that's the thing. They see her as a machine, which is so ironic because the name of the band is Florence and the Machine. But I feel like, she's going to have to really kind of set some boundaries. There's things that she wants to do in this lifetime. More traveling. I feel like spending more time in places that are very holy or very much connected to Mother Earth. I see her with a group of ladies, like sisters, having a bond, going out into nature, sitting under trees, things like that. Just enjoying life more. The more that you, I guess, with her, the more that you're famous, and with a lot of people, the more that you get into fame, a lot of times you're disconnected or pulled away from your roots and from from nature, and from being more spiritual in nature. And for her, it's going to be hard to kind of pull away from that, because that's a core integral part of who she is as Florence Welch. So I see her changing her focus and her priorities by May, when all of this is going on in her life. By May 2020, she's going to be changing a lot of her priorities. The things that were important to her before are changing. So she may start seeing other people, in her life that she needs to kind of pull away from. I also keep picking up that there is something medically, like, well, I'm not a doctor and I can't diagnose, of course, but I can tell you what I see spiritually. With her, her health is going to be coming to the forefront, specifically in around July, the summer months of next year. It's going to be very important for her to take time for herself. She could become dizzy. She could become easily dehydrated. Again, this is going to be going back to self-care and self-love, and really paying attention that she's not being overworked. And I feel like she may also have some hypo, like something with her blood sugar could be too low. So again, this is something to watch, and also anemia is something to watch with Florence. And again, that's just what I see. She does have a lot after that, like around August of 2020 going forward. She has a lot of more decisions that she has to make in her life. These won't be easy, and I feel like these are going to be more about her band, the recording process. I do feel like by 2020, 2021, we may see a new album coming out. I don't know yet if she's wanting to go on a solo path, but this could all be about her making an announcement that she's going to kind of go solo, and have an album, just as Florence Welch, the artist, which is a very, this is where I talk about, we can change our destiny. The future is unwritten, and how things, when I give readings, and when I, do these celebrity readings, or I do private readings for everyday people, all of my rays of light, all of you, some of you that have booked readings with me, and I give insight about, future things that I get insight on. Things can change because of our free will and our destiny, but some things are, pretty much there. So I see her, wanting to not necessarily explore, but it could be like an idea that someone is pushing on her and pushing upon her. And she's kind of like, maybe I'm curious, what would happen if I go solo? And, I don't feel like she's going to be betray Florence and the Machines, her group. But I feel like she is already almost like a solo artist, even though she has her band. She has Florence and the Machines. I see that. And I see, like, eventually it's like a release for her to come out with something that is just her, And it could just be like one album that she does, or one project. But she definitely will be going into different areas and different things. And it's going to be, really, her future is bright. I see, a lot of positive things, and she's going to have what she wants, and she's going to get all of that. But when it comes to her love life, and it comes to family life, and again, her band itself, she's going to have some decisions to make regarding that. And I feel like, it's a potential that she could have at least one child in this lifetime. But again, it's all going to be up to her whether or not she wants to go through that. But if she would, ideally within the next 3 years or 4 years, would be in an ideal time to have a child. But that's what I see for Florence Welch, and I'm so thankful and again so grateful for all of you that are here on my channel, all of you rays of light. I love my rays of light. Thank you so much for being here. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that red subscribe button as well as the notification bell icon. And if you would like to book a private psychic reading with me, you can go to my website as www.raymondguzman.net/shop. I have added some new jewelry to my website, rings and some pendants, and I have some new merchandise coming up, which I will be making an announcement, as well as my Starseed Footsteps Oracle cards. I made a set of Oracle cards that are going to be for pre-order starting next month, I believe. So a lot of exciting projects, a lot of exciting energy coming forth and through for y'all, because I consider you to be family for me. And as always, blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day or night wherever you are in the world.